Yo, what's good? It's your man Double. City Takers, Norfolk Music in the building. Right now, you in the field with the track stars, and we in the field getting our hands dirty. You dig?
Yeah, back in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. All right, we got a really good Noteworthy for you today. This one is called Father Figure. All right, y'all ready? I was raised in a Christian house and my parents have been married almost 40 years. My dad has been a perfect example of what a father should be. He taught me how to treat people the right way, and he instilled values and morals in me at an early age. Everything between us was fine until I started college, and I began to develop a strong hatred for him, to the point where I wished he was dead. Over the last couple of years, the hatred has become indifference. I know I don't hate him, but I would be lying if I said I loved him. Is this a normal guy experience that will resolve itself, or is this an issue I have to work through? Father figure. What y'all think? It's heavy.
He said why you hate him?
Yeah. He never really said why. He just said it just started happening.
I think. Well, I guess in order, to really properly, fully address it, the question would have to be answered: why he hates him or why he feels like he hates him. I can sort of relate more to that, being the fact that I was raised in a very Christian house. My parents been married both for almost like 40 years. The same. As I got older in high school, I started, to really resent my dad. For just really reasons that weren't necessarily valid, like the fact that he didn't really let me do what it is that I wanted to do, or kind of go the direction that I wanted to go. So I remember developing a strong hatred for my father being there at a younger age, even younger age. But I guess to really appropriately address it, the question really would have to be answered: why you feel like he hates him, or what's happened between him and his father. Otherwise, of course, all things can be definitely reconciled. But yeah, definitely, the question really got to be answered.
Yeah, I definitely agree. My question would be why, and then my situation would be the opposite, which I didn't know my father. I didn't know daddies even existed as a little boy.
Wow.
It wasn't until I was in elementary school, and I think about the elementary school I went to, even a lot of other kids, it was still single moms, and never seen guys. And I remember there was one particular day, and I think it was a program at the school. I think I was in first grade, and it was the first time I seen one of my friends, and it was a mom and a guy. That's how I reckon. I'm like, who is this guy, and why is he here? Why is he with them? What is that? And I remember asking my friend, it was a female, I think my friend Camille, I never forgot her name. And I was like, who is that? Like, what is that? Why is he hugging you and all? And it was so innocent now when I look back at it, but I was so serious though. And I remember she was like, oh, that's my dad. And I said, you're what? What is it? And then I remember that night I went home and said, asked my mom, what is a daddy? And the thing about it is that, of course my mom protected me. She's like, well, I'm your mom and your daddy, and of course I rolled with it. She had done everything, and I didn't feel like it was anything that I missed, particularly, because, she was always just there. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't meet my dad. That happened at, I guess, 6 years old. I met my dad at 8 years old. And how that went down was very interesting. But to me, I think I was so happy to have a dad that I didn't really think about him not being there for the first 8 years of my life, or that he really wasn't there. And so my question is, because in that situation, most guys, that I grew up around who didn't have fathers, some still don't know their dads, that's where I see a lot of resentment from naturally in my world versus, somebody who actually had a father there and, and spent time and all the other stuff, so I have a different outlook on it. But I feel like even though I didn't know my dad, and even after I met him, it's not that we spent every day together. We, because I had a kind of a busy schedule as a kid, and he had his own schedule already. He had a family already and all that stuff like that. But I never had any hate for my dad at all. And it's funny because me and my girl were just talking about this the other day, just talking about different things, because she grew up with both their parents, and they're still married for, like you said, 30 plus years, and been through everything, as together. And then for me, I've never lived in my father's house for longer than maybe 2 weeks in my entire life, just over the summer one time. But my question that to direct to the Noteworthy, I want to know why and what is it, because what, like you said, whatever it is, it definitely can be reconciled, whether it's a father that's been there, and it could be the same thing, because I have a cousin that hates his father, and his father was there, but his father beat his mom, his father beat him for like no reason, and then had other issues with, you know, drugs and alcohol, and so there was particular abuses that he was personally going on and taking it out on everybody else. So then I can understand his hatred for his father, and he hates the fact that they have the same name. Like, he really wanted to change. He was very serious about changing his name and didn't want to be considered a junior under his name. And so it's very interesting, like, you know, as a man, to grow up even with fathers, and then those that grow up without fathers. And it's ironic to me, not really having that there are more, there's almost a sense of a stronger situation where guys that grew up with their fathers to resent their fathers versus those that really maybe not have been that close or ever lived with their father. And so that's a very interesting topic, and, you know, definitely very interesting, noteworthy, but I would definitely want to know why, though.
I mean, the question definitely is lingering, that whole why. I wonder though if he knows why. You know what I mean? Like, he may not. There may be something that's super deep seated from years ago. It may be from, you know, excessive pressure over the years to grow up a certain way and be in a certain way, and now he's out of the house and, you know, he's trying to find his own way, you know. But from what I've seen just historically, oftentimes when you hit that age in high school and college, you're just trying to find your own way, whether you're a man or a woman. And oftentimes if you don't feel like you have the support of your parents, it can be very easy to resent them, because at the same time that you're trying to find your own way, they're trying to learn how to let go and let you find your own way. And some are better than others. Some hold on even tighter because they just don't know how, and some just kind of let you go all over the place. So, you know, it could be a lot of things, but I really want to encourage you, especially as a believer. I'm assuming you're a believer. I could be wrong, but as a believer in your own personal relationship with God, to really ask Him to reveal that to you, because it could be a seed that's so deep that you don't even realize, like, gosh, He wanted me to play football growing up and made me play, you know, all throughout high school, and I just never liked sports. Whatever it is, I don't know, but you really have to ask God to reveal that to you, because while, you know, finding your manhood and who you're supposed to be and all that stuff is normal at this age, you're not supposed to be at odds with your father. Right.
And that's what I want to say. Like, and it's interesting, like, you know, said like he had a similar situation as far as, you know, the resentment because he wanted to do certain things that his father was like, either no. And that's one thing I can say, that my father has always supported any and everything that I've done. Which is, you know, even though we didn't spend a lot of physical time together, like when we talk, you know, it's always encouraging and always, you know, so that can be a difference. And like I said, I feel like me personally, feel a certain thing, I would say, you pray about it heavy. And it's so real, because, and you do want that to be resolved, because life is too short, you know, to just hold on to something and not know why, you know. So my advice in that situation would just, you know, seek God in this and ask Him for a reveal of whatever it is that could be hindering your mind and your heart, so that there can be some purity between father and son, because we need that. And especially in today's society, as a black man, or I mean, I don't know who, you know, what he is, but just in society as a man, period, in this world, there needs to be a stronger combination of the two together, so for the betterment of not only Christianity but just this world in general, to see a strong unity.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna come from the perspective of like say that he did have like a relationship with his father young, and then later on he felt this way. I think a lot of time what happened, and it's like, and I even saw it even with me, it was like I just saw a lot of myself in him. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think to an extent, it's like he's seeing the things that he doesn't like, maybe about him, or maybe about the things about his dad that aren't like him. So it's like, even in a tendency of people, like, if I see something in you I don't like that I don't do, of course I'm gonna have a problem with it. And it's like, you know, if we've been around each other for years and years and years, it could be something as simple as, man, yo, he leaves out dirty laundry, to like, if this has been going on for 18 years, like, I can't stand him, he's lazy, you know what I mean? And it's that's the way I saw it. So
I would definitely, man, completely agree, man. Reading even curtail on what he was saying and kind of what she was saying as well, man. Even when you get to college, I can then testify to that. That's a lot of times really a very awkward stage between father and son, and even daughter and mother and daughter and son. Parents and children. They're kind of going their own way, and the children the parents kind of want them to go a certain way. But whatever it is, honestly, it's definitely not worth cutting off that relationship. I think something he was saying at the end was very, very, very key. I don't want to sound super over spiritual, but one thing throughout history, the way that you really cut off a lineage and like cut off anything is by separating the father, the fathers from the sons, and therefore just cutting off. And if you don't know, a lot of times you don't have that connection with your father, and that's really, I really feel like what the enemy's goal is, period. Throughout generations, cut off the access of the fathers to the children. Even the scriptures talking about how God would turn the hearts of the fathers back to the children, things like that. But the importance of that. But throughout time, you see that if you want to cut off a legacy, you just disconnect the father. And there, even personally, a lot of things that as a married man, even young married man, that I've gone through, and that I wouldn't even have been able to get through if I didn't even really talk to my father, because there are a lot of things that he's foreseen, that he's dealt with, or that, he can, a lot of reasons for the way you are that he can actually tell you. I think John Gibbs actually had a song like that. He said something very key, but honestly, that there are a lot of things, that you can connect back to that father, like certain things that he's went through as a husband or as a man or as a father, that, you just coming into the world as a college student, that you really seriously can learn from and benefit from. So yeah, man.
All that's really good, and I feel like everybody could kind of relate, and I can verbatim relate to this. And I would just say the first thing is you're not allowed to hate your dad. I mean, just biblically, you're not allowed to. So deal with that first. Your last question was, is this something you need to work through? I would say yes. This is something I've been working through, and it really came from just knowing that you're blessed to have a father. There's a lot of people who don't have fathers. There's a lot of people who don't get that opportunity. And just knowing that there's people who have great relationships with their dad. So the fact that it started out that way, you really, really got to work on trying to get it back to that.
Can I ask, why am I not allowed to?
You're not allowed to hate anybody, first of all. But especially not in your family.
I mean, because, like, for instance, I'm not saying that I'm going through that exactly, but I am going to say that I am in that little space, right, where I don't necessarily, I'm not as, I don't know, enamored with my dad as I once was, you know what I mean? And there are specific reasons why I don't like him as much as I used to at one point. And there are actual, you know
reasons,
what I mean? Yeah, there are actual reasons. So since I have that backing, and I know for sure that, he was wrong in a lot of situations, why am I not justified in saying I don't like you?
Well, the basic answer is you can hate what somebody does, but you, as a Christian, if you continue in your hate for that person and unforgiveness, you're forfeiting your forgiveness, because you're basically saying that I don't appreciate the forgiveness I got, so I'm not gonna give it to somebody else. So you're just not allowed. So because you're not allowed, you got to figure out how to deal with it. And it's not that everybody deserves a close relationship. Some people may need to be away, but so you got to figure out how not to hate.
I'm just trying to get to a resolution.
I think at the end of the day, like, you never know what's going to happen to that parent. And I'm speaking from experience. I remember how before my father passed, that I was calling his where he was in a nursing home, and I was calling him, and the nurse picked up the phone, and it was like I called to speak to my father. Is he okay? Everything good? Yeah, he's up. He's ready. I mean, he's good. He's good. You want to speak to him? No, I'm good. Okay, thank you. Not on like no like. I just wanted to make sure he was straight. And then the following day he passed. Wow. So I say that to say to anybody that even if whatever you felt, you know what I'm saying, like whatever you feeling towards your parent, you may not have them long enough, and the worst thing is to have regret or anything when you go and see that person in a casket or they're dead, or that's, you can't, because now you, like, regardless of how you feel about the person, you can't even share that with them face to face. You can't even tell them, this offended me about you. Even if you just get that off your chest, to tell them that, versus just being like, I hate them forever, or I can't stand them.
How foolish do you feel every time?
No, go ahead, man.
How foolish do you feel every time you just, like, every time you forgive and then they go back and do the same thing? How do you feel?
Think about this. Jesus does that to us. Everybody in here do something stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like prime example, you know, whatever your situation is, if you know I'm quick at the tongue and God is telling you, hey, today, sincere, I want you to I'm saying today, sincere, I want you to be nice to everybody, regardless what they say to you, right? Now, me and you know that's gonna be a problem for you, right? But at the same time, no, I'm serious. I mean, you quick to, if somebody say something crazy, you quick to respond back. So, like, just thinking about that.
If y'all didn't know me, okay.
Just thinking about that, like, just thinking about that, man. I think that's one of those things. Is like we do that to God, but like God is just like requiring you to just love this person unconditionally, love this person regardless of what they do to you.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean excusing bad behavior. It just means forgiving in your heart. And I'll just challenge you, because I think your story sounds more, it doesn't even sound like you have a reason, which I relate to. I have reasons. I wrote about it in the past, but actually the whole album was about that. But you have to challenge yourself now, no matter what the hatred or indifference may actually be worse. No matter what the cause of it is now, I'll say this. I never hugged my dad ever. Well, maybe when I was a kid. I started forcing myself, not forcing, but I started hugging my dad for the first time like this couple past years. And that was a challenge I got from Maya, from Lauren Amati, because it's like you gotta conquer that before you have a kid. You got to get there, because if you don't deal with this with your dad, you don't want to pass that on to your son or your daughter. So that's my encouragement, man. That's what I got, and that's how I'm passing on to you. All right,
Shalom.
You in the field with the track stars. Let's go.